I think that would be the logical approach. That's a logical conclusion. No one seems to have a logical explanation for this. Nobody seems to have a logical explanation for this. No one seems to have a logical explanation for why this happens. Nobody seems to have a logical explanation for why this happens. Does anyone have a logical explanation for this? Does anybody have a logical explanation for this? Tom wasn't able to give a logical explanation. Tom is traveling around Europe. Soup can't be eaten with a fork. I usually eat French fries with ketchup. That doesn't sound very logical. Doing that shouldn't be hard. Doing that shouldn't be difficult. Doing that would be hard now. Doing that would be difficult now. There are always a lot of kids in the park. There are always a lot of children in the park. There are always lots of kids in the park. There are always a lot of children in the park. Doing that might not be hard. Doing that might not be difficult. Doing that must be difficult. Doing that must be hard. Today isn't a good time to do that. Today's not a good time to do that. Doing that might not be too difficult. Doing that might not be too hard. Doing that might not be very difficult. Doing that might not be very hard. Doing that might not be so hard. It might not be too difficult to do that. It might not be too hard to do that. Tom said that you studied French every day. Tom said you studied French every day. It's not clear where we'll do that. It isn't clear where we'll do that. Would you rather I stay? Would you rather I stayed? This blanket is really soft. Tom knows the mayor. Do what we tell you to do. If you're not willing to do what we tell you to do, then leave. If you aren't willing to do what we tell you to do, then leave. This isn't the way I thought this would happen. This isn't the way that I thought that this would happen. Tom missed us, I think. Tom sits there. Tom knows the governor. Tell me a sad story. All of us hugged Tom. Tom looks fit. Tom is my right-hand man. I can really count on him. Tom sat there by himself. Tom was a kid back then. This happens from time to time. Tom usually sits here. I have a feeling that something is missing. Tom is one of my allies. We don't sell those anymore. Tom always pays his rent early. It's a living tradition. I don't think Tom still lives in Boston. I'm an idealist. I was an idealist. I'm a cynic. I was a cynic. All these items sell equally well. I gave Tom the message. An uncle of mine died last week. Tom got fined. The more I think about it, the less I like your plan. After considering your idea for a few days, I don't think it's a workable one. Swahili is widely spoken in Eastern Africa. Write these words down in your notebook. That's just how things were in those days. Tom is one of my rivals. We have a lot to be grateful for. Tom got hired. Tom got out of bed and stretched himself. Tom has a deep scratch on the palm of his hand. The president suddenly resigned. Have you eaten your food? Even children know this. Tom keeps his door locked. Do you think that you can handle it? If possible, I'd like to see Tom. I'd like to see Tom if possible. Most of my friends are single and have never been married. Each of us hugged Tom. Which one do you like better, this one or that one? Tom knows the chef. Here's what I found in the garage. Tom didn't eat any breakfast. Tom's children were born in Australia. Tom's son was born in Australia, and his daughter was born in New Zealand. Tom's children were both born in Australia. Tom's children were all born in Australia. All three of Tom's children were born in Australia.